What makes someone truly exceptional? It's not talent alone, it's the mindset, discipline, and systems behind the scenes. The art of doing anything exceptionally well reveals the core principles that turn effort into excellence. Deliberate practice is a concept that redefines how people approach skill development. Unlike mere repetition, which can lead to automation without improvement, deliberate practice is highly structured and purposeful. It targets specific elements of a task with the goal of improving performance incrementally. This kind of practice involves full concentration, immediate feedback, and frequent discomfort because it challenges a performer to go beyond their current capabilities. It's not about doing more of the same. It's about doing it differently, intentionally, and with a focus on refinement. The research of psychologist Anders Ericsson forms the foundation of this concept. In his studies of elite performers, musicians, athletes, chess players, Ericsson found that what separates top-tier experts from average individuals isn't innate talent, but thousands of hours of deliberate practice. For instance, professional violinists at conservatories didn't just practice more. They spent more time working on difficult segments, often in solitude, and received feedback from skilled mentors. The effort wasn't passive. It was intensely mindful and strategically focused. In deliberate practice, feedback is essential. Without it, mistakes go uncorrected and progress stalls. This feedback can be external, such as from a coach or mentor, or internal, like using video recordings to critique one's own performance. The idea is to create a feedback loop where performance is constantly evaluated and adjusted. It requires humility because it means recognizing weaknesses and being willing to expose them for the sake of growth. Another key aspect is the setting of clear, stretch goals. Generic goals like get better aren't effective. Deliberate practice demands goals like increase typing speed by 15 WPM over the next 2 weeks, or eliminate timing errors in the left hand during piano practice. These goals focus attention, measure progress, and prevent plateauing. Plateaus are a common issue when individuals stop pushing themselves or lose focus. Deliberate practice is specifically designed to avoid that. The mental energy required for this kind of work is significant. It's cognitively demanding and often emotionally taxing. That's why even top performers can usually only engage in true deliberate practice for a limited time per day, often no more than 4 hours. The rest of the time is spent in rest and recovery, which allows the brain to consolidate learning and prepare for the next session. It's not about burning out through long hours, but maximizing the quality of engagement. Finally, deliberate practice isn't inherently enjoyable. It often feels like hard work, not flow. That's a critical distinction. Flow is enjoyable, but it typically occurs when performing skills one has already mastered. Deliberate practice happens on the edge of ability, where mistakes are frequent and success is uncertain. Yet, over time, this is what leads to mastery. The discomfort is a signal of growth. Embracing that discomfort and learning to work through it systematically is what ultimately allows someone to do anything exceptionally well. Deep work is the ability to focus without distraction on a cognitively demanding task. It's a concept popularized by computer science professor and author Cal Newport, who argues that this kind of focus is becoming increasingly rare, yet increasingly valuable in our modern economy. Most people operate in a state of shallow work, low concentration, task switching, and multitasking, which fragments attention and diminishes the quality of output. Deep work, in contrast, leads to faster learning, higher productivity, and more original, meaningful results. The core principle of deep work is that the brain needs uninterrupted time to process complex information and make connections. When attention is scattered, cognitive resources are depleted more quickly, and the brain is less able to enter a state of flow or concentration. This means tasks take longer and are done with less creativity. In contrast, when the mind is fully immersed in one activity, neural networks strengthen more effectively, which accelerates skill acquisition and problem-solving abilities. Neuroscience supports the idea that sustained attention changes the brain's structure over time. The prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for decision-making and attention control, becomes more efficient the more it is trained through focused work. This is akin to weightlifting for the mind. However, modern technology, particularly smartphones and social media, is designed to break this concentration by offering constant novelty and low-effort stimulation. Each time attention is hijacked by a notification or urge to check a feed, the brain reinforces a pattern of distraction. Over time, this weakens the ability to focus deeply. Creating an environment conducive to deep work is crucial. This involves eliminating distractions not just physically, by turning off notifications or using website blockers, but mentally by setting clear boundaries around time and space. For instance, time blocking is a technique where periods of the day are reserved exclusively for one task. During this time, email, messaging apps, and other interruptions are off limits. Rituals, such as starting a session with a certain drink, music, or location, can further train the brain to shift into deep focus mode more quickly. Deep work is not just about producing more in less time. It's about producing better work. Writers, scientists, entrepreneurs, and thinkers across history have leveraged deep concentration to make breakthrough contributions. From Carl Jung retreating to a stone tower to write, to Bill Gates taking think weeks away from Microsoft to read and reflect, the pattern is clear. Exceptional output comes from intentional isolation and focus. One of the biggest challenges in cultivating deep work is overcoming the discomfort of boredom and silence. The mind, conditioned by constant stimulation, often resists settling into quiet. However, resisting the urge to seek distraction builds mental endurance. Over time, deep work becomes not just more productive, but more satisfying, as it leads to a sense of progress, purpose, and competence that shallow work never provides. The more consistently it is practiced, the more natural and rewarding it becomes to operate at a high cognitive level. Goals often provide direction, but it's the systems behind those goals that actually drive progress and excellence. A system is a repeatable process, a set of habits, or a structure you follow daily regardless of the outcome you're chasing. James Clear, in his book Atomic Habits, explains that winners and losers often have the same goals. The difference is in the systems they follow. For instance, two athletes may both aim to win a gold medal, but the one who builds a system of discipline, training, recovery, and mental conditioning will be more likely to succeed consistently. Focusing only on goals can create a cycle of temporary motivation, followed by disappointment or stagnation. Once a goal is achieved, many people don't know what to do next, leading to regression. A system, however, keeps the process ongoing. When the system is built around identity, I am someone who shows up every day, it reinforces long-term behavior. The identity-based approach shifts the focus from results to routine, from intensity to consistency. Habits play a key role in building systems. When behaviors become automatic, they conserve mental energy and reduce decision fatigue. This is supported by research in behavioral psychology, which shows that the environment and cues around us shape our actions more than motivation does. Structuring your day to make positive habits easy and negative habits difficult helps create a system that works even when motivation is low. For example, laying out workout clothes at night before removes a barrier in the morning, making it more likely you'll follow through. Feedback loops also enhance systems. By tracking progress, whether through journaling, apps, or reflection, you create visibility on what's working and what isn't. This makes it easier to refine the system without becoming emotionally attached to any single outcome. For instance, a writer who commits to writing 500 words every day, regardless of quality, builds a creative habit. Over time, the system sharpens skill naturally, without the pressure of writing a perfect piece each time. Focusing on systems also reduces procrastination. When the emphasis is on showing up and sticking to a process instead of achieving a massive, intimidating result, the brain perceives a task as more manageable. Micro commitments like write for 10 minutes, read one page, or practice one scale make it easier to get started. Once the system is in motion, momentum takes over. Systems allow for continuous improvement, what the Japanese call kaizen, or small, incremental changes over time. Instead of relying on motivation spikes, systems create structure that leads to discipline. This long-term approach is essential to doing anything exceptionally well because it embraces imperfection and iteration. The system absorbs failure and converts into learning, while the pursuit of goals alone often views failure as a setback. By making the process the priority, rather than obsessing over the end result, performance becomes more sustainable and less stressful. Excellence becomes a byproduct of the system, not a lucky outcome. Emotional resilience is one of the most underappreciated aspects of high performance. It is the ability to remain calm, adaptable, and effective in the face of stress, failure, or uncertainty. In the context of doing anything exceptionally well, emotional resilience allows a person to persevere when most would quit. Angela Duckworth's research on grit, a blend of passion and sustained persistence, shows that resilience is a stronger predictor of long-term success than talent or intelligence. Those who can endure discomfort, bounce back from setbacks, and continue to work toward a goal despite challenges are the ones who excel. One major component of resilience is the way individuals interpret adversity. Cognitive behavioral studies indicate that people who view failures as opportunity for learning, rather than as personal flaws, are more likely to recover quickly and grow. This concept, known as a growth mindset, was developed by psychologist Carol Dweck. When someone with a growth mindset faces a setback, they don't assume they're inherently bad at something. Instead, they believe that with effort, feedback, and time, they can improve. This mindset creates mental flexibility and fosters ongoing development. Stress management is another essential part of emotional resilience. High performers are not immune to stress. They've simply learned to manage it constructively. Techniques like mindfulness, breath work, journaling, and physical activity have been shown to reduce cortisol levels and improve focus. These practices create a buffer against emotional reactivity, enabling individuals to make decisions based on logic and values rather than impulse or fear. In high-stakes environments, such as business negotiations, sports competitions, or creative performances, this emotional regulation becomes a competitive advantage. Social support also plays a role. Studies in emotional psychology demonstrate that individuals who maintain strong interpersonal connections, mentors, friends, colleagues, tend to be more resilient. Having someone to talk to or receive encouragement from during difficult times provides both emotional relief and perspective. Resilience doesn't always mean enduring alone. It often means knowing when to reach out and seek reinforcement. Another key factor is self-compassion. According to research by Dr. Kristen Neff, people who practice self-compassion are more likely to persist through challenges because they treat themselves kindly during failure instead of engaging in harsh self-criticism. This prevents burnout and keeps motivation intact. High achievers often have a harsh inner voice, but learning to reframe that voice into one of encouragement and patience can dramatically affect consistency and long-term success. Resilience is further strengthened through exposure to controlled stress. This is known as stress inoculation, gradually facing and overcoming increasing levels of difficulty to build tolerance and capability. Just as muscles grow stronger with resistance, emotional capacity expands when challenged appropriately. Each time someone navigates failure or difficulty without giving up, their resilience becomes more deeply wired into their identity. This mental toughness transforms how they approach goals, setbacks, and even success. Emotional resilience isn't just about surviving hardship. It's a foundation for thriving through it and rising to a higher level of performance. Feedback loops are essential for mastering any skill or achieving exceptional performance. They create a continuous cycle of action, evaluation, adjustment, and improvement. Without feedback, it's difficult to know whether progress is being made or whether the current approach is effective. Feedback loops turn experience into expertise by translating outcomes into data and data into informed action. Whether in sports, business, education, or the creative arts, high performers rely on this cycle to evolve faster and smarter than their peers. One of the most powerful aspects of feedback is that it makes the invisible visible. Often, people perform tasks based on intuition or habit, unaware of inefficiencies or mistakes. When feedback is introduced, either externally from coaches, mentors, audiences, or analytics, or internally through self-reflection, it exposes those blind spots. For instance, a public speaker may not realize they overuse filler words until they watch a video themselves. A musician may not notice their rhythm is off until they record and listen back. This awareness is a first step toward improvement. Timeliness matters in feedback loops. The sooner feedback is received after an action, the more useful it becomes. Immediate feedback strengthens the connection between effort and outcome, helping the brain adjust more effectively. This is why elite athletes often review performance videos right after a game or training session. The feedback is fresh, The emotional connection is strong, and the lessons are more likely to stick. Delayed feedback, by contrast, can be less impactful because the context may have faded or the relevance diminished. Effective feedback also needs to be specific and actionable. Vague comments like "do better" or "work harder" offer no real direction. Constructive feedback pinpoints what exactly needs improvement and how to go about fixing it. This allows for targeted practice and refinement. In professional settings, the best mentors and managers provide clear, behavior-based insights rather than personal judgments. This approach makes feedback feel empowering rather than threatening, which increases the likelihood of it being acted upon. There are also internal feedback loops, such as journaling, reviewing your own work, or tracking metrics. These self-generated feedback systems build metacognition, the ability to think about your own thinking. When individuals become skilled at evaluating their own output, they become less reliant on external validation and more capable of self-correction. This autonomy accelerates growth because it allows for continuous improvement, even in isolation. Feedback loops also support resilience by framing mistakes not as failures, but as valuable data. When viewed this way, errors become an essential part of the learning process. High achievers expect feedback to be part of the journey, not a sign that they're inadequate. In fact, the willingness to seek out feedback, even when it's uncomfortable, is often what separates those who plateau from those who continue to grow. By embracing feedback loops and incorporating them into daily routines, individuals create a system of consistent refinement. Each cycle of feedback shortens a path to excellence and builds a deeper understanding of both the craft and oneself. Excellence isn't a destination. It's a deliberate way of living, thinking, and working. The art of doing anything exceptionally well lies in consistent effort, focused practice, emotional resilience, and a commitment to learning through feedback. Mastery doesn't happen by accident. It's earned through small, intentional actions repeated over time. When you align your mindset, habits, and environment with these principles, exceptional becomes inevitable.